everybody. I'm getting notification that my live stream to Rumble is interrupted. We're having trouble streaming to your destination. So anyway, we're going to move on. This automatically will stream to Facebook and YouTube. I prefer people follow me on Rumble. Okay. But, as these glitches, we have to deal with them. Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Let's Talk About It. Thank you for joining us. And I've got the camera up above me. The monitor is what you're looking at there. So I'm probably going to look down more than I look up. Okay. Today's going to be an interesting show. I had a gentleman, I met him through a network group. We joined Ignite You 365, which is a network group for business owners here in the Tacoma area, meeting a lot of interesting business owners. And this one was really kind of interesting to me. When I met Tim, I was like, what do you do? And he told me, I was like, whoa, I never even thought about that. Never even thought about it. So he's going to come on and talk about all of the things that we're doing here.
We're not streaming for some reason.
We're not streaming. Okay. We've never had this problem. We're not streaming on Facebook either. Okay, let's go look. All right, Tim. Hang on there. I was streaming on Facebook. I'm still streaming on Facebook.
Okay. It was streaming on YouTube. I didn't get it at first.
Okay, we're live on Facebook right now. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Okay, we are streaming, and sorry about the interruption. And
All
if
right.
you want to, we'll just.
Well, why don't we just bring Tim in now, and we can talk about what he's doing. All right, Tim. Sorry about the confusion. We're gonna pick it up here. I'm also showing that we're not streaming either on my end, only on one of the sites. However, we are streaming on Facebook because I just went and checked. And I got to close this, otherwise I'm going to get feedback. Tim,
Yes,
welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, what I was saying, folks, when I was letting you know about him being my guest, Tim has an unusual profession, something new to him even, and I'm going to let him tell you all about that. But first, Tim, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, give us a little background about who you are, and you did a podcast for 7 years. Mm-hmm. You can talk about that as well.
Sure. So my name's Tim Bruhn. I'm a native son of Washington State. I've lived here all my life. I am 52 years old. I've got a loving wife, 2 adult children that are out of the house. And I live on a place that most people don't know called Anderson Island, which is off of Steilacoom, only accessible via ferry boat. I had a podcast for about 7 years called All Comics Considered. And we talked about comic book culture, whether it be comic books themselves or movies or conventions, anything around the topic. All Comics Considered went for 7 years, and we were told by NPR that All Blank Considered was owned by them, and they asked us very kindly to shut it down. So we did.
Wow. I mean, why would they tell you to shut it down?
That was a cease and desist from their legal department because they owned All Blank Considered. So they have a few very popular podcasts called that. And so we were like, after 7 years, we want to do other projects anyway. And so we're like, okay, this was a sign.
It took them 7 years to figure that out?
It probably took them 7 minutes after someone notified of them of our show.
Okay. So how long ago was that, Tim?
We ended that, I think, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So podcasting is a familiar thing for you. You're not a novice and it's not new to you. And then, so now you end up, you're native born here. You've been here all your life and all that good stuff. Loving wife. You decided to create another opportunity for yourself called Bio One. Now, we just, my wife's brother, they just found him deceased on August the 8th. And he had apparently been in his bed for a couple of days. We don't know yet. We have very little information about his death. But anyway, It never occurred to me. I always thought the police had a whole thing that came in and did this, or the medical examiners out, but that's not true. Bio
No.
One does what?
So first of all, my condolences for your loss.
Thank you.
So what Bio One? So you're right. The police come in when there's an undiscovered death. They do their investigation, and they do their stuff. And then the coroner comes after they call them, and they pick up the remains. And when the family members are there witnessing all this, the cops then say, "Well, we're very sorry, and you have to figure out a way to clean this up." The police don't do the cleaning. First responders don't do the cleaning. Medical examiners, coroners don't do the cleaning. So there's a big gap in services, and that's where Bio One comes in. We will clean up after undiscovered deaths, suicide, homicides, what have you. That's on one hand. And on the other hand, we'll do other things that people don't want to do. So hoarder houses, we will clean up after animal feces, urine, stains of that, smells, odors of that nature we'll take care of. In November, I'm going to be getting my certification to clean up after fentanyl. So I'll be able to help people that are dealing with that.
Did you say fentanyl?
Yes, sir. Dangerous drug.
We're going to talk about that, but I'll let you keep moving, but I want to come back to that, okay?
Yep. So that's happening in November, but we get our cert for that. And I've been asked by other service members if we'll do asbestos. So I'm looking into researching on how we can help remediate that as well. Other things we'll be looking into, a bit difficult to quite understand, get our arms around, are things like homeless encampments, which could be dangerous for everyone involved. So kind of weighing that out. We'll be partnering with our local police to see if we can help remediate their squad cars and their jail cells as well. So basically, if it's dangerous or if it's just something that no one else wants to clean, we will do it.
So you come in, let's go. I took a couple of notes here while you were explaining all of this. Okay, so the medical officers, medical examiners, they come in, they take the body away. Mm-hmm. So if you run across the body, and folks, this is kind of it's not a pleasant subject, okay? But most of us don't know that this is what actually happens. I certainly didn't. So you come in, the body's gone, the police are gone, the body's been there for a week. Mm-hmm. What do you walk into when you walk into that kind of a situation? And I'm not asking you to be graphic. I'm asking you to tell me, what is it that you see when you walk into that room?
I mean, it depends on the situation, right? The first thing we're apt to walk into is the family members. And we might even see some of our competitors, or the family might have called a couple of agencies. There are a few out there. But we're there for the people, for the family. We explain to them, who we are and how we do our business. And if they're okay with it, then we go forward. And again, so it just depends on the situation. If it is a violent death, let's say if it's a death by a gun, shotgun, and something of that nature, you will see blood and you'll see other viscera. And if it's a violent death, then you will see blood stains, brain matter, and other body fluids on the scene, on the ceiling, on the walls, and of course on the floor as well. And then everything else, so tables, couches, etc. If it is a non-violent scene, if someone dies in their bed or their chair, after a week, the body will be gone, but there will be again viscera, blood, etc., completely soaked into the chair or bed. Almost certainly into the floor, and very likely into the floorboards. Something you don't think about is that after a week, you'll have a generation or two of flies. There'll be flies everywhere. So that's visually what you'll see.
I've actually seen, a death scene of a shotgun blast, and you're right. There's body parts all over the room, everywhere. And so you go in, your crew goes in. Now, does the family look for a person such as Bio One to come in and do the cleanup? How are you contacted?
So when people are in that situation, they don't know where to go. So they will ask the police, what do we do now? And if I've done my job right and I've established connection with the police, The police can't directly refer me, but they can say something like, well, you need to find a company like BioOne that can help you clean this up. So that's one avenue. A second avenue that's pretty common is that they talk to the people at the cemetery. So they talk to the mortuary workers and funeral directors. And again, I will be doing outreach to them and giving my information to them and letting them know I'm there for their clients. So the funeral directors and the workers there can also refer us to the family. Those are the two main areas. And then the third, if they don't have those resources handy, they'll just start Googling, clean up after dead body, something of that nature, and they'll find us. So those are the three main ways.
How many people, in your opinion, just decide to clean it up themselves?
Well, I think probably maybe half of the people will. But the problem is you can take Windex and other cleaners and you could try, and you might get the surface clean. And in fact, there are some untrained companies, let's say house cleaners, conventional house cleaners, that can do that. They'll clean the surface. The problem is blood follows gravity. Viscera follows gravity. So the blood can and will go into the floorboards. It will go into the substrate of the floor as well. And even though you clean the top and everything looks okay, in a day or 3 or 4, depending on how hot it is, the smell of decomposition will happen again. And then those people who try to do that cleaning will then call us, and we'll clean the right way.
Okay, I mean, I'm trying to kind of filter my way through questions to ask because I really don't know where to go with this.
Sure.
I'm just picturing Jeff walking into a room and dealing with the debris and the smell and all of the things that that you're there to clean up. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I would be, if it was like my wife's brother, I would be too emotional to come in there and do that. I wouldn't know how to function with that. I know my wife wouldn't want to walk in there and have to clean up the remains of her brother. I mean, I speak to that. What do you deal with when you're dealing with the family that has lost a loved one, like in this manner?
Well, we have to address every family member with extraordinary empathy and clarity. This is not the time to be clever. This is the time to say to the client, hey, we're here to help, because we are. And don't worry about payment. Don't worry about insurance. We will initiate a call to your insurance if you have the appropriate insurance, homeowners insurance. And then we'll send them off. We will do the cleaning. Tomorrow we'll give you a call and give you a status update. If it is a very large job, it might take 2 days, but typically for a less extreme situation, we can take care of it in 1 business day. And for us, that's 6 hours a day because we work hard, and I don't want to overwork my people. But yeah, you go in there and you just talk to them and you listen. You listen to them and you treat them with kindness and all the courtesy you can.
And when you go home at the end of the day, is it just the job that you've done? Or how do you cope with having to clean up with someone's loved one? How does that affect you personally, and even your group members?
Sure, I can address that. So one thing we didn't cover is that I'm a volunteer firefighter and EMT for Anderson Island, Station 27. Shout out.
Okay.
And my primary service technician is also an EMT. And we've been on a couple of scenes where someone is struggling, they're fighting for their lives. And this is extraordinarily tense. This is the time that our adrenaline's pumping, that it is high drama, it is emotionally impactful. It can be devastating if you don't have the wherewithal to understand who you are, where you are, what you're doing, and if you can or cannot save the patient. We've had some that have made it and some who have not. And every time it's been an emotional situation. Cleaning up after a deceased is not high drama. It is not impactful. It is not the same thing as trying to save someone's life. They are done. And we don't even see those bodies. We just see the remains that need to be cleaned. So at that point, when you contrast trying to save a life versus just cleaning up after a deceased person, The two things are not similar, and it's just a job. It's just something to help clear the way for other people to live a better life, a life that they can go forward. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to bring some hope, so a way forward, some optimism back to their life by able to clean up that situation.
I'm gonna talk about something that I actually experienced. I was in an audience setting, and there was a person from Israel. Their job was to, clean up the area as soon as possible. That was their job after a bomb blast. And what the gentleman did, he said, close your eyes. And this is a room full of people. He said, close your eyes. A bomb just blew off in a downtown area, bustling with people. Close your eyes and visualize what you see. And when he said, okay, he gave us like 5 minutes. And then he said, okay, open your eyes. And he said, what did you see? And virtually everybody that responded, he kind of randomly asked people, they said, well, I see death. I see people dying or dead people. And it was very abstract. It was in the abstract, almost every answer. And then he said, let me show you what you will see. And then he played a video of the aftermath of a bomb blast. And it was not abstract. It was horrific.
Yes.
And, when you see, and in that video, I saw people's body parts sticking to buildings, on fire. It was just so graphic and so grotesque that your mind doesn't register what actually does take place. Now you've been an EMT, so you've rolled up on these kind of horrific accidents and things of this nature. So you've seen all of that stuff. Why is this what led you into the Bio1 thing? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just a quick background. I wasn't always an EMT. I've been doing this for about a year and then 2 years as a firefighter. Prior to this, I was a technology nerd doing quality assurance management, right? So I was there, helping teams get to what they got to do to make sure software was working right. Not a bloody or high tension job. So 20 years into it, I got laid off like everyone else did in technology. I had to figure out how to pivot. I was listening to another podcast, and a lady was talking about this sort of work, and I kind of felt it in the pit of my stomach. I was like, oh, this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm going to be doing. And it was sort of, I described it as a dreadful certainty, like I knew I was going to do it. And I guess the reason I knew I was going to do it is because it is a continuation of the EMT work. I knew that there was this huge gap. I knew that people were hurting, and they couldn't go on with their forward with their lives without having that kind of very specific help. I just knew. I mean, my own personal motto is "I live to give," and that's true. When I came across, thank you. When I came across,
can I steal that one? I live to give. I just stole that one. Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
I live to give. When I found Bio1, the motto for Bio1 Corporate is help first, business second. It's like that. I live to give, help first, business second. And I knew it was the right fit. So that's why I signed up with them. But yeah, I mean, absolutely 100%. Doing this work is coming from my personal ethos, and because I'm an EMT and I know people really need expert, empathetic help. And that's what we're here to do.
So tell us about Bio1. I mean, you found an opportunity. I guess this is franchise. I did a little cursory review of Bio1. I couldn't get that video that you had sent to me. I couldn't load it up because it was copyrighted to the max. I couldn't get anybody to convert it. So I finally gave up on that. But tell me a little bit about Bio1 and how you ended up as an owner and a franchise system here in South Sound, Tacoma.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, I have to give a shout out to Jim Judy. Jim, I will forward this video on to you. He is a franchise wrangler. He puts people like me or you or whoever wants to get in business. He kind of gets an idea of who you are and what you want to do, and he'll put 4, 5, or 6 different businesses in front of you. I was already prejudiced. I already knew what I wanted to do. and he put Bio1 and 4 other companies in front of me, 4 or 5. So that's how I became aware of Bio1. And then as I was getting into it, of course, I did my research, my background research into them, and they've been around for 10 years. They were basically the first, one of the, if not the first, one of the very first companies to do this sort of work. And yeah, Jim put me in front of them. I talked to their people, their franchise people, and we got to talking, and I just liked more and more what I heard. They're experts. They know what they're doing. They have a comprehensive training program. I was out to Denver for a week learning about all this stuff, from marketing to actually getting hands-on cleaning. I was deployed to a site that had to be remediated as well. So it's not just classroom setting. You go out there and we do the work. And yeah, 100%. I love being a business owner, and I'm a first-time business owner. So I wanted to be a franchise so I can get that sort of level of support that a franchise can give you, and it's been invaluable. We have meetings every day except for Friday, and just sort of talk things through. So if there's any gaps you feel like you're missing, you can talk it out, and they'll support you. It's a good opportunity. It's a good way to go.
What about your wife? I mean, you tell me about only because I'm married forever.
Yeah.
What does your wife say? You want to do what? I mean, what did it go like that? How did it go?
No. So I've been married for 20 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My wife actually got me into technology, into QA. And after that career was concluded and I was looking around, I told her about this. And she didn't faze her one moment, because we are actually both EMTs and firefighters, volunteer.
Oh, okay.
So when she heard this, she was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And prior to QA, I had a sales background. I was selling technology as well. And so she said, I'm not worried about this. I know you've got the hustle. I know you've got the drive to make this work. I'm behind you 100%. And I said, thank you. And also I said to her, please be my director of operations. We're still trying to figure out what that means.
Did she agree to do that?
She said, do not call me and ask me to go clean up after dead bodies. And I said, okay, I promise I won't do that. Said,
I can hear my wife saying that. Actually, my wife, she told me once that she would love to work in the morgue. It kind of surprised me. She's actually listening to the show right now. And I was like, my wife's been in the medical profession for as long as I've pretty much known her. She did some banking and stuff like that early on. We've been together for we've been married for 34 years, but we've been together for longer than that. But at the same time, she told me she would have no problem doing an autopsy. And it floored me. I was like, really? But she's been in the medical. I mean, she's dealt with death and dying for pretty much most of our marriage. She said at some point you have to, they do these walks where they honor somebody in the hospital. That's the hardest part for her, is doing the walk. But anyway, I'm going to go back to, let's get right into the meat of Bio1. You mentioned fentanyl. What does that mean when you go into, are you talking about a place where they're cooking fentanyl, making fentanyl, producing it? Explain that, because since it's a big problem, it's a huge problem around here.
Sure. Before I get into that, Jeff, I'm going to say I might call your wife because I might need more workers as we scale. I'll give her a shout out.
It depends on just pay her more than the medical profession's paying her. She's there, trust me. Anyway, that's interesting. Okay.
So for fentanyl, I mean, everyone has heard about it in the news. It is
what is it? Go ahead and explain what it is.
Yeah, so fentanyl is a what can you call it? Is a synthetic drug. It is a depressant on the system. So when you take it, you become relaxed, become spaced out. But when you take too much, your body starts to shut down because your lungs aren't working as well. You can't get the oxygen, and this is why a lot of people will end up dying on fentanyl. Fentanyl is inexpensive, and is often cut with other drugs because it is sort of addictive as well. So if you have cocaine, more likely than not, it's cut with fentanyl. Fentanyl, as far as scenes go, again, my training for that will happen in November. But probably most commonly, you'll find fentanyl residue in stolen cars. And you say, well, Tim, why do you have to clean up stolen cars? There's good trash, right? Let's go to the junkyard. Yes and no. Because it's aerosolized, if you try to trash a car without cleaning it first, you get fentanyl in the air, in the atmosphere. So then my company goes in, we will clean those cars first, and then they can be crushed. Similarly with short-term rental properties, right?
Wait. Let me back you up just a second. If a car has been contaminated with fentanyl, you want to go in and clean the fentanyl up before you destroy the car?
Yeah.
Are the cars routinely destroyed?
If the car is stolen, typically the police or the investigator will do drug tests, fentanyl strips. And if it comes back blue, it means the car is contaminated. And then a company like mine will go in and remediate that.
Does it ever get returned to the owner, or is it destroyed?
More often than not, it will be destroyed. Insurance will mark it as destroy. There is an option. I looked this up. There's an option in Washington State where if the owner really wants it, then they can have our company do the cleaning. But then their insurance and everything else washes their hands. We're like, okay, this is hold harmless.
The reason I'm asking you this question is because I was talking to my insurance agent, and she said that our rates are going up because we're having to do these payouts. And she mentioned fentanyl. Now I know why she did that, because this is an aerosol drug. The residue's all in the air, and you have to come and clean that all out, which a lot of insurance companies are dropping people over fentanyl, is what she said. And most people, one of the reasons I want to do this show, folks, is because most people have no idea. We just hear it on the news and we don't think about it because we're not impacted by it. There's a lot more to this, which is what you're explaining. But I didn't realize they just absolutely trashed the car. You have to clean the car before you trash it. It's that bad. Wow.
It's that bad. Similar with short-term rentals, so Airbnb and stuff like that. Sometimes people go there and they mess it up. And there's fentanyl on the walls and the floors and what have you. So I have to go there and we have to clean it up. And then we have to test it. If it still shows up, maybe we have to take, flooring out or walls, drywall out as well. So it became pretty expensive, pretty pernicious. It's a bad problem.
Well, you just opened my eyes about that. It's not top of mind. We don't think about this stuff.
No.
We also talked about homeless encampments. You mentioned that earlier. What does that mean? You go in and clean up homeless encampments, or explain the process?
Sure.
Have you done that?
We have not done it. We have seen video of how to do it. We've talked to other owners who have done it in our training. My company personally have not done that. The mechanism of getting a job to do that is that you sign up for sam.gov is national, and there's local government boards like sam.gov where you bid for jobs when they come up.
Okay.
And if you win, then you'll go on scene, and you'll have several dumpsters out there. You'll have your workers. You might get additional workers because you want to go fast. But carefully, you will don your complete PPE. So your hazmat suit, your respirator, your eye protection, your booties over your leather steel-toed boots. We will also additionally have pierce-proof gloves. Why that? Because there's going to be glass. There's going to be needles. So we have sharps boxes, and we clean it up. The reason we want to go fast but carefully is because there can be violence on scene, because you're cleaning up someone's home. It's a dangerous home. There could be feces and urine and drugs and any other sort of mess. And so we will definitely not go on scene unless we have police protection. This is why I'm a little hesitant to get into it. I'm worried about my people. As a firefighter, my motto I've adopted for my life is safety first, always safety first. And this seems like a relatively dangerous situation. So before we accept any of these jobs, before we bid on any of these jobs, we're going to have to be clear with the police or private security or what have you, They got to be on scene, otherwise we'll walk away. I don't feel great about it. I mean, it's a terrible situation. People get in these, homeless encampments because they're at the end of at the bottom of the barrel, right? They're having a really hard time. And we're going to have to clean that up. Hopefully the people that, who we've cleaned up after have resources to get into, temporary or long-term shelter. But they can't keep living like that because it's just not healthy for them or the people around them or the community as well. So eventually we will get involved with that. We're going to go slow and we're going to be careful and we're going to have good relationships with the police department before we do that.
Okay, now you've been in business for how long? You mentioned it earlier.
We have not been in business long. I started the LLC in May 2nd of this year.
Okay, so you're just getting started.
Correct.
Okay, how's it going?
We before I get rolling my truck, I had to complete training in Denver. That happened 2 weeks ago. There are several jobs lined up, so we're doing okay. We're doing okay. But
so you're on track. You're on track with why you started doing this, and you feel pretty good about your progress.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the training like?
So we get to Denver, and the first day and a half, we get into how to do marketing correctly, how to talk to different groups, how to talk to police, how to talk to apartments and motels and hotels where there's a lot of deaths, how to talk to groups that can help us refer to business. That's day 1.5. Day 2, 3, and 4, we were going into the nuts and bolts of actually how to do the remediation correctly. So we're talking about how to don our PPE, how to doff our PPE safely. And a lot of this stuff I've already known as from my background in EMT and firefighting. The equipment that we'll be using, foggers, air scrubbers, brushes. One of our tools you'll be familiar with, it's a barbecue scraper.
Right.
Because brain matter hardens like concrete, so you have to be able to scrape it out.
Oh, now you just said something I never thought about in my life.
Me either, until I got to do this.
Brain matter hardens. It dries out.
Yep.
Wow.
And it gets hard like rock, like concrete, so you have to have a pressure and get that brush in there and get it out.
You don't have to be so depictive here. I'm just picturing somebody's brain turn to concrete on the sidewalk, and you got to go chip it off. Is that what you're basically telling me?
If it's in a house, we got to do it. If it's in the road, then the police and the firefighters just hose it into the sewer system.
This is stuff that the average person has no concept of. We don't think about stuff like this.
No.
I'm
sorry if I'm too graphic. I can pull it back a little bit.
No. I don't want to be too graphic. But again, you're putting things. I never thought that your brain matter hardened. I thought it. I mean, it's flesh. I figured it just turned into a dried out raisin, but never figured it hardened.
Yeah, it does.
Wow. So all those people laying in the ground have brick heads, basically. No, I'm sorry, folks. I'm trying to lighten the mood up a little bit here. All right. Now, okay. So, how many people do you have employed, and did you all go to Denver?
I'm the only one that went to Denver because I could take that training and I could disseminate it to my workers. Right.
Okay.
So for employed, it's myself, my general manager, who is my stepson, my older stepson, who's 29. We have Leah from the fire department that's going to be doing the cleaning. Myself, my wife to do operations, and I've got a couple of people I'm talking to about bringing them on. All this is going to be part-time work until we start getting contracts and getting in continuous, money flow coming in. But I have a person I'll be talking about business development, so currently, actively 4 people. We'll expand. I can see a total of 10 people eventually.
Okay. Is there a downside to I've dealt with a lot of franchises in the restaurant world. I've been a part of that world. Is there a downside to, have you ever said to yourself, what am I doing? Is there a downside so far?
Well, as a brand new business owner, without even job one in the can yet, you always have to wonder, am I doing the right thing for my family financially, right?
I understand that
So,
one.
there's some savings. There's the loan that we have successfully got from the SBA, but it
Oh,
won't
you
last.
did.
Oh yeah, yeah. By the way, that was a 3-month effort, and we were quick.
I, you know what? I've done. I got so frustrated with trying to get an SBA loan many years ago. I went, screw this.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you got it done in 3 months?
3 months. I didn't do it alone, Jeff. I didn't do it alone. I'm not the kind of owner or CEO, what have you, that says I got to do everything myself. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not an expert at SBA loan getting, so I'm going to hire a person to do that. I'm not an expert in knowing how to use all these chemicals. I'm going to get training to do that. I will delegate and I will do what I'm good at, which is making contacts, starting a network, um, growing people. Those are things I'm great at, and I will clean as well. I'm not going to be just sitting in a chair. I'll be cleaning as well until I can afford to go to an executive model and doing all that other stuff,
Sure.
24/7. But yeah, SBA loan. I hired a person, a company called Fran Fund. I paid them a flat fee. They helped expedite it. 3 months. A lot of people take much longer than that because they make mistakes with their applications and whatnot. Fran Fund does the scrubbing before you send it all to the SBA. So I recommend them if you're going to be trying that again.
When I was doing it, I hired a person too. But in the process of doing all of this, I was going to open up a plumbing company called Unplugged. And it was going to be completely unconventional, okay? I was going to have bright yellow, bright pink trucks, lime green trucks with a plunger, a simple plunger on the side of the truck. And I was going to put I wanted to put a fleet out all at once. Well, the guy that was helping me, he was an Israeli lawyer, and something happened in Israel, and he just vanished. And so I didn't really pursue it after that. It was all in the planning stages. And then I didn't want to go as a minority business owner. I didn't want to go that way. I wanted a small business. Well, after a while, I just went, you know what? I'm just going to put one truck on the road and see what happens. And that's kind of how the genesis of my company that we ended up selling. But I know what it's like, okay? And when I met you, I went, okay, this guy's pretty confident about who he is and what he's doing. We chatted for a little while. And I thought, hey, hip parade, go for it. I just had never heard of a company that goes in and cleans up. You mentioned also, let's see, we covered the hoarding was the next subject. Okay, let's talk about hoarding. As a plumber, I went into a house here in Tacoma. The lady opened the door, and there was a mountain. I'm not kidding you. A mountain of stuff that went up. And then there was probably about this much room, maybe 3 feet, between the pile of stuff to get to the other side of the house. And while I was standing there talking to her, she had a bathroom problem. She was obviously not all there. There was something wrong. While I'm talking to her, a boxer dog came crawling over the top of this mound in the living room. And I was like, it was her dog. And I was like, he's living in this. I never saw the problem because our company said we can't do anything here. And the people who called us, they wanted to do a safety check on this woman. So ultimately, she was removed from the premises. Worst hoarding thing I've ever seen, and I've seen many. Okay, I've been to many, but this was by far the worst. Talk to me about hoarding for Bio One.
Yeah, I definitely will touch on that. Before I do, you had super colorful trucks or one truck or one van that was going to go out. We're going to be the exact opposite. I've got a 14-foot white unmarked box truck. Okay. And we're going to go out to anything that for undiscovered death or for a hoard, we'll be rolling that truck out. And when we acquire other trucks, there will also be unmarked white vehicles, work vehicles. Right. And we do that because we were trying to preserve the dignity and the anonymity of our clients. So we're going out there. Yeah, we're trying to do discreet service. Okay, so I might have a raft vehicle sometime. That might be my own personal Hyundai Sonata or Santa Fe, sorry. That'll be for going to business, and we're doing
Sure.
consultations and stuff like that so people can see us. But when it comes to our individual clients, subtle, discreet. That's what we're all about. When it comes to hoarding jobs, I look at it again from an EMT perspective, and I think of it from a HIPAA perspective. These people that we'll be helping have a mental disorder. It is in the DMV book. I read recently that it's probably going to be classified under the used to call it manic depressive. Bipolar going to be under the bipolar category. Okay, so these people have a problem, and as an EMT, we're always there to help. We're just there to help. We're not there to judge. I'm bringing that same feeling to when we go to a hoarding house. We are not there to judge. We're just there to help. And this will be the hard thing. It will not. The work is hard. Again, we'll be there for 6 hours. We'll have a dumpster or 2 dumpsters or 6 dumpsters, what have you, whatever it's going to be. And every hour, we're going to take a break for water. Every 2 hours, we're going to swap out our biohazard suits and get different suits on and gloves, maybe put some more oil in our respirators so it doesn't smell as bad. But the hard part won't be the labor. It'll be talking to the people that are going through this, because the stuff that we recognize as filth, the stuff that we see as something that can topple on top of grandma and kill her or catch on fire and then that's it, that stuff is a comfort to them. It is like it's like a safety blanket, right? And so when you're taking away their stuff, you're taking away their sense of comfort, you're taking away their sense of security, you're taking away that part of their life. And we don't get it because we don't have this problem, but that's what we're dealing with. So the hard part won't be the labor. The hard part will be talking to the people, again, with empathy, with sympathy, with kindness, but having to do the work at the same time. It's going to be a hard balance.
I've watched a couple of the hoarder shows, and it's exactly true. You can't. It's like for me as a plumber, I can't go into somebody's home and judge them. I can go in and try to solve their problem. And sometimes when you go into a home and you've got, I'll give you for example, I had an 80-year-old woman. One of her shutoff valves blew off, hot water. So she's got hot water shooting out from under her cabinet in the bathroom. And she calls my company, and I drive out there, and it was about a good 35-minute drive. I get there. There's a guy across the street. He's mowing his yard, and then her very next door neighbor's working on his car in the driveway, and there's water pouring out of. This is a ranch-style home. There's water pouring out of the garage and out of her front door. And I open up the door. She's a regular customer. She's literally sitting in her living room, completely immobilized. She shut down. She could not function because it was just too much for her. She didn't know. She didn't have it in her head to go talk to the neighbors and ask for help or even call the fire department. And I suggested she call them. I didn't know that she completely shut down. So anyway, that's what I walked in on. And from that point on, my job was to, first of all, get the water off. Second of all, was to bring her back into a place where she could function. And I've seen that happen many times in plumbing when people have catastrophic failures. And people just literally, and you don't necessarily have to be elderly. I've had a gentleman in his 40s maybe. He just shut down, didn't know what to do. He's got sewage pouring up out of his apartment. So anyway, I understand you can't go in and be a bigger problem than they're facing. I understand that completely. And I'm a customer service guy.
I feel like I kind of understand that your home is where you go to unwind. It's your castle, right? It's the place where you go to just let your hair down and be yourself. And if it's threatened, if it's now a place of hostility or danger, I can see how that could just wreck someone.
when you were doing your training, and as you become more familiar with Bio One and your
Mhm.
operation, do they talk to you about getting yourself sick or getting hurt or getting breathing in something or getting a pinprick and ending up? Tell me what kind of training they offer with that, because you're walking into a dangerous environment.
Right. So before any job starts, I myself will go on scene and do an assessment. I will do a danger assessment. And so I'm not sending any of my workers in before I go myself. We grind that a little bit. I'll call the customer. The customer will call me, and I'll get sort of a verbalized idea of what's going on, and then I'll go on scene to verify what's happening there to get an assessment. From there, I'll meet with my team, and I'll give them a rundown what's happening. And we will, if it's what we call a biohazard scene, we're going to go in with complete PPE, so head to toe, with our double gloves, our eyewear, our respirators. Hoods are on, leather shoes with the steel toe caps on there. So we're going to be completely protected. If need be, we'll have the pierce resistant or protective gloves as well.
Hang on. For those who don't know what PPE is, this means personal protection gear. Well, that's all it means for the person who doesn't know what that means. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah. If it's if it's a biohazard job, we're going to be completely head to toe covered. If it is a hoarding situation or something of that nature, thick pants, boots, gloves. We might wear an N95. It just depends on the situation. As far as any injuries, in Washington State, we're covered by L&I automatically. So if there's an on-the-job injury, you'll have coverage there. I'm also talking to an independent insurance agent, Kayla, who's helping me get additional coverage through another insurance agency. So we'll have, unimportantly, we'll have dental and vision, but more importantly, we'll have accident coverage as well. So double covered there. Hopefully there's never any injuries, but if there are, they'll be covered, and there should never be any injury or harm because we're going to be completely covered with our personal protective equipment. For aerosolized particulates, we'll always have our cans on. So that should protect us with 99.9% effectiveness. For bad smells, I have lavender essential oils. I'll put those in the filter, so it'll help remediate some of the bad smells as well.
Yeah, because the smell of a dead body can be, well, I've been in a situation where I've seen that, smelled that. It's one of the worst smells I have ever smelled.
Yeah, it won't leave your brain anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't. So anyway, okay, so you're excited. You're a new business owner. You're going forward. Sounds like you've got all the things in place to make this thing, profitable, as well as to help the community, which is one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, is because this is what people like me, like my wife, her brother, fortunate she was not involved because he's in a different state. We found out about it. She didn't get the opportunity to be involved. And that's a different story. But it really is to help people, to take care of the thing that nobody wants to deal with. I don't ever want to come home and find a dead body in my home, because that means it's a family member.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that. We've got about 10 minutes in the show, and we've covered a lot of territory. Is there anything that we haven't really discussed that you want to talk about?
One other person described Bio1 in a way that I hadn't thought about before. We're the last responders. First responders will be police, EMTs, firefighters. Second responder, if you will be the coroner. We're the last responders. We're the third responders. And that's how I think of it. We go there and we provide the service that should be common, but is not yet. And my goal is to let everyone know this help is out there for you. I am going to be out in the community. I'll be out in events. I'll be talking to as many people as I can to let you know you have an option to help clean up after this so that you can move forward with your life. so you can retain a sense of life going forward. Because if there's that stuff there, you're stuck on pause until it's taken care of, and we'll do it in a discreet, expert, in a very thorough way. Oh, one other thing. Not that this should ever happen with my QA background, but if we ever miss anything, you'll call us right away, and we'll come out there within an hour or two. We'll remediate it. There'll be no additional charge. I guarantee our work. So yeah, I just want to let you know we're here for you, and we'll do the job, and we'll do it right the first time.
So to the audience members, a couple of things I'll mention before I close out. If you're a business owner, you're getting started, you want to talk about it, just get the word out. This show is my podcast, folks. I've done biblical podcasts. I've done interviews with important people. This show is about you. It's about what you're doing to bring a difference or to make a difference in somebody's life, and or to tell a story. I'm not looking for celebrities. I'm not looking for top politicians. I'm looking for the people that impact the community, that are doing things that make a difference in the lives of people. That's what Let's Talk About is all about. And to help promote Bio One South Sound with Tim, that's an honor that this show has an opportunity to do that. And so that's what we're going to do. But also, I think most of us have learned a few things today that we didn't know. The brain thing, I didn't know about that. I didn't know. And it's really kind of ironic that I would meet Tim shortly after we find out my brother-in-law was found deceased in his apartment. I think I met Tim maybe 3 days after that. So I'm learning some things that I didn't think about, but also it coincided with an unfortunate thing that's happened in our family, certainly with my wife's brother, who she loved very, very much. But that's what we're doing here. I set up this thing as a podcast now. You can go to Podbean. The audio versions is done now. All you got to do is just email me, Jeff Morton, JSMorton at protonmail.com. You can see the show, the podcast on Facebook until they throw me off. YouTube's already held up one of my programs and said we're not going to broadcast that. And also Rumble, I'm trying to get Rumble to work all the time because it's hit and miss. But the idea behind Let's Talk About It is to talk about you. The podcast audio is called The Podcast That Talks About You. I don't know how to say it any other way. Tim, we got 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. If you're going to promote your business any more than you have already, go ahead, give it your best shot.
The one thing we don't have on here is the phone number to call. That's 253-252-1330.
I thought we did see the phone.
The scrolling didn't have the phone on there, but that's why oh, there it is now.
253. I saw it.
252-1330. When you call, it's not going to go to a service. It's going to go to my personal phone, and I will answer it 24/7. If it's 3:30 in the morning, I will answer the phone. If I am on a scene and I can't answer the phone, my wife will answer the phone. It'll forward to her, figuring out how to do that. But that's the idea. So you're going to get a live person that is an owner or co-owner or what have you. Yeah, and they'll be 24/7. So just shout out, give us a call. Go to the website, fill out a form. I'll get back to you ASAP on that as well. So just letting you know.
And
our response time is going to be huge.
How do you primarily work through insurance companies or through home or family members? It depends on the situation, I would imagine, right?
Depends on the situation. Hoarding is going to be self-pay, and bio work will be more or less covered by insurance.
What if there's no insurance?
If it's no insurance, it'll be the family will pay for that. It can be expensive, but we also have partnered with a company that can help you with financing. So instead of having to do it all at once, you could do it for a year or 2 years. You'll work it out.
I mean, I don't know if my policy has Jeff. If you die, we got you covered under your policy. I've never looked at that. Maybe I should pull my policy out and find out what it says with regard to death.
Yeah,
well, my friend, I wish you the best of luck with what you're doing. I met you, and so I know I get a feel for people. You're going to be successful with this. There's
Thank
no
you.
doubt about it. And there are people out here now, hopefully, if they listen to this program and certainly the audio version of it, have a little better understanding of what it's like. Of course, I mean, I'm not saying that this is a brand new thing. People have dealt with this for years. I just have never, ever thought about who cleans up when someone dies. It's never been in my head to think about that until my brother-in-law and, of course, meeting you. So I'm glad we did this show. It wasn't gruesome. It wasn't grotesque. It was informational. And you've got a new company to introduce to our community that helps them with this. I hope and pray that everybody who listens to the show learns a little bit more about what it's like. The fentanyl thing, I didn't realize that they destroy the cars or they destroy I mean, what happens when someone's Airbnb is contaminated with fentanyl or they've turned it into a drug making lab? My God, it's just insane. And it's so prevalent here in Washington. I think you're going to be a busy man.
This is the only company that I could think of where I hope you never have to use my service. I hope if you're a friend or a colleague, or if you're listening to this, you will never have to give me a call. But if you do, we will be out there ASAP. We'll get your back.
All right, folks, that's pretty much going to wrap us up. Tim, I want to thank you for coming on. Let's talk about it. I'll send you the file on the show. We've had some, when it comes to Tim's camera, it's been kind of fluctuating back and forth. We don't know why. We just decided to roll with it because I thought the show was important. I didn't want to cancel it. But there's always going to be the audio version as well. Tim Bruhn, good luck with Bio 1 South Sound. Thank you for doing the show. Maybe we can have you back. And also, folks, if anybody wants to come on and talk about it, just reach out to me either on Facebook. My email is jsmorton@protonmail.com. You're always welcome to send me an email. We're going to keep talking about you and what you do to bring something needed to your community that serves other people. That's a wrap for us. Have a good afternoon. Talk to you later. Thank you.